Hello and welcome to Joy This Moment. I'm your host and coach, Mevi Ahmed, here to open hearts and transform minds so you can live your best life as your most joyous and successful self. So let's dive into this episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Joy This Moment. I'm your host and coach, Mevi Ahmed, and I cannot thank you enough for tuning in week on week and listening to yours truly. And I know I say this every week, but I am truly grateful to each and every one of you who take the time out of your day to listen to me. And the reason why I'm so grateful is because we have just passed 100 listeners on this podcast. 100 of you have tuned in to listen to me, and I just can't even find the words to thank you. The words are there. I'm just feeling very humbled by the fact I've been able to help so many people. So what would be great is if you feel that my podcast has helped you, please subscribe to it. Please drop a review and share it with anyone you think needs some help and some free coaching. Also, on that note, I am offering 5 free coaching sessions to help you transform your mind for success. And if you know anyone who needs a hand right now, I know times are tough. I know we've all gone through a cray time this year, and I just want to do my bit and help everyone out. And I love talking about positive mindsets and teaching emotional resilience. And my coaching sessions are the podcast is kind of a flavor of what I can do in the coaching sessions. So if you really want deep transformational work and you really want to make a huge change in your life, but you feel there's something that's stopping you, let's work together, and it will be my honor to help you along that journey. The link to book is on my Instagram page, so Instagram me at Mev's Moments. The details will be in the show notes, so you will know how to contact me, get in touch for your free coaching session, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so now the announcements are well and truly out of the way, let's get on to this week's episode, which is episode 8, Worth the Wait. Okay, something very funky has been happening with my brain this week. I've just been dropping rhymes and raps just left, right and center. It's just a very musical week. I don't know why, I don't know how long this will last for, but you know what, I don't care. I'm just enjoying it, and I'm enjoying my musical moments, and I hope you will join in and humor me on this one. Let's talk perfectionism. Oh my word, isn't perfectionism just freaking exhausting, right? Perfectionism. Isn't it frustrating when you spend so much time trying to find the right words for a super short email? It could be like 2 sentences long, and next thing you know, an hour's gone, and you're just trying to find the right words for it. Or even feeling like you can't do a task properly until you know what needs to be done. And it's just really exhausting. Let's be honest, it is exhausting, and it just takes up time. And what's the end result? Does it even matter? Does it even matter in the grand scheme of things if you haven't got that task right? Or in fact, what is right? Ooh, this is getting philosophical now. What is right? What is wrong? I just want to say that we are all human beings, and we all make mistakes, and it's about time that we made it okay to make mistakes. So let's talk about the root causes of perfectionism, because when I discovered this was just the opening to my healing and overcoming perfectionism, because I would just fuss over the tiniest of things and especially trying to find the right words in emails and right words in documents, and just feeling like until I knew everything, I couldn't particularly start the task. And that's the thing, by the time you know how to do everything, what's the point of even starting the task? You know, like it's all about taking the steps and getting the task done over time. I mean, I think that's the more fun bit. I mean, that's all about enjoying the journey rather than results. And you can tune into that into the previous episode 7. But here we're talking about perfectionism. So the root causes of perfectionism, and this really blew my mind. So this is something I learned thanks to Dr. Thais Gibson. She is a specialist in attachment theory and trauma healing, and perfectionism is actually a trauma-based response. Yeah, this didn't make sense to me at first, but let's go through it. So the root cause of perfectionism, it's linked to your sense of self-worth, and our sense of self-worth can come from our achievements. So as a child, if you were heavily criticized on anything that you were doing, if you had very strict parents, if you were over criticized by your teachers, your peers, like your wider environment, if you just always had a feeling of feeling not good enough, and that is affecting your self-worth, then the reason you become perfectionist is it's a way to respond to that situation. So if you don't feel good enough, then you start acting in a way to meet the approval of your caregivers, your parents, your peers, the approval of society, so that once you have the approval, you then get that sense of self-worth. So my perfectionism, and I've already said this, that it was manifesting itself until about last year in my university assignments, right? Funnily enough, when I question myself, why am I feeling perfectionist? Or in fact, I asked myself, where did this start? My mind took me back to my early school years, whenever I would make a little piece of artwork, because I love doing art in school, and I presented that to teachers, and they would just get very angry that it wasn't the required standard. I mean, I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. I mean, 6-7-year-old kid. So artwork, I just wanted, I mean, and art's meant to be messy, it's meant to be fun, it's an expression of yourself. Like, how can anyone be perfect at art? Like, I don't even get that. But anyway, that particular memory stuck with me when the teachers were shouting. But it wasn't just in art, I realized. It happened in maths, it happened in English, it happened across all manner of subjects. And so, because I just kept getting heavily criticized in every single subject, literally being told I'm not good enough, through like the first few school years, all the way up to year 8. So my early school years, they were mostly in Dubai, and then from about 2006 we had moved to the UK. So then even though I was in a British curriculum, we still had the grade system, which sounds American, so okay, it was grade 8. And then when I went to the UK in 2006, I then joined year 9. So interesting things happened. It was a complete different style of schooling, because up until year 8 I had a very, very strict form of schooling, always getting heavily criticized, always feeling not good enough, always literally feeling crap. And then I moved to the UK and I was being praised all the time. You know, I would just complete in hand in an assignment and get really good marks, and I would just feel as if I hadn't really done much. But then my school would send me postcards on you've been a top performer, I would get awards, I was just like, what is happening? I've never been used to such praise. So I had such opposite experiences, and it's no wonder that I enjoyed my school life more in the UK than I did in Dubai. I just had a very stricter school life. But that's where the perfectionism started. That's where I felt I had to constantly push myself and be the best that I can in every single assignment. But because that feeling of perfectionism started in the early part of my childhood, it stuck with me, right? It stuck with me through UK schooling, it stuck with me through university. I would still try and push myself and make sure I could be the best that I could. But last year I made a conscious decision that I need to overcome perfectionism, because it is just a waste of time and it really isn't serving me. Life isn't perfect. Life is a learning curve. Why does every freaking assignment need to look and appear perfect? And when I learned this year that my perfectionism is just a response to the trauma I experienced as a child, I thought, okay, well, I need to learn to let go of this perfectionism in peace. I need to make peace with it, because whilst perfectionism was a strategy to survive in childhood, I'm not a child now, I'm a 27-year-old adult, and I don't need to be surviving in this area. I don't need to be perfect anymore. In fact, it's time for me to give myself permission to be myself, to be that wonderful, weird, wacky person, and be imperfect by being myself. So this is how I got over my perfectionism. And if you are someone who's struggling with perfectionism, I really ask you to do the following. Number one, recognize that you are a perfectionist. Recognize that you're a perfectionist. Number two, ask yourself where your perfectionism started, and I guarantee you it was some childhood experience, because we're all carrying childhood experiences that haven't been healed, and we're carrying with them into our adulthood, and we don't need to be carrying anymore. It's letting go with peace. So number one, recognize you're a perfectionist. Number two, ask yourself where, when, and how did this perfectionism start. Number three, recognize where perfectionism is affecting you right now and how it's holding you back. And number four, the healing. So perfectionism, and the way I healed my perfectionism was I wrote myself a letter. So number four, write yourself a letter, and I want you to say, "Dear Junior," insert your name. So let me tell you what I wrote, and then you can then adapt it for yourself. So I wrote myself a letter, and I said, "Hey Lil Mevy, what's up? I am so grateful to you that you were a perfectionist when you were little. I'm so grateful to you that you did that, because guess what? It helped you survive your childhood, and that's great. I'm so glad you developed your own survival strategy as a child. What a brilliant child you are. Hats off to you. So I really want to celebrate you, and I really want to recognize you. But hey, now we're a bit older. Now we're a bit wiser. Now we're an adult. And as much as I love you and your perfectionism, I don't really need you now. I want to be myself. And I want to be my weird, wonderful, happy self. So this is me seeing you, recognizing you, but I no longer identify with you and your perfectionism. Your perfectionism is not me. I am the new me who is happy to embrace herself as she is. And I give myself the permission to make mistakes, and they will not affect me. I give myself the permission to be imperfect. Lots of love, Mary the Adult. I get that letter was a little bit long, but I want you to take what you need to take from it and adapt it to yourself. And read this to yourself every day. Like, just pick any time of the day, just read this to yourself, so that you're sending your subconscious mind, and read it out loud, by the way, because your subconscious mind needs to hear this over and over and over again. And the more you do it, the better. Do it until you start feeling less perfectionist in your day-to-day life. It will happen over time, but the reward is amazing because you just save so much time in your day. To give you an example, last week I dropped the trailer for my podcast, and I had no idea that some bits of the trailer might have captions. Like, that wasn't, I just thought it would just be in audio, but there were captions, and there were a few typos in that caption. It did not bother me. It did not bother me one bit. Rewind last year and it would bother the shit out of me. I'd be like, oh my gosh, the entire world can see that I can't spell, even though I mean, did it matter? No, because people were listening to what I was saying, and if a few people were reading, and they still heard what I was saying. It really doesn't matter. So I want you to give yourself the permission, and actually, you know what? I give you the permission. It is safe for me to be imperfect. All right, my chums. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I will catch you in another episode of Joyous Moment next week. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye!